Okay, so lesson 5.4.1 on Apex for Algebra 1. It's all about systems of inequalities. So we're going to talk about the graphs here in a second, but I have just this first question just kind of looks at if you have a system of inequalities graphed already, how do you know what the solutions are? So basically, you're going to have like two lines for what we're doing so far. You're going to have two lines that are graphed, and then there's going to be like this area of your graph that's shaded, which represents like the solutions of your system of inequalities. So if you look at number one, anything in that shaded region, like if I have a point here or here or here or here or here or like anywhere in that shaded blue area in that region, any of those points are going to be solutions to your system, okay? Now, because the lines are dashed, if I have a point that's like exactly on the dashed line, wherever it is, doesn't matter if it's close to the, like if it's close to the shaded blue area or not, if it's on the dashed line, it is not a solution. But if that line were a solid line and there was a point on the line, it would actually be a solution, okay? So those red points that I just put, we're going to say none of these are actually solutions because they're on a dashed line. All the other red points would be solutions. So what we want to do for the first one is we're going to look at our graph and go through each of these answer options. So like A, B, C, D, we're going to see if those points are solutions or not. So this first one is the point 0, -10. So on my graph, 0, -10, I would go left to right 0, I would go down 10. That's like right here. That is definitely not a solution. So I'm just going to cross that off, not a solution, okay? I'm going to use a different color highlighter here. Okay, so that one did not work, 0, -10. How about 2, 4? So 2, 4 means we would go right 2. So, and we're counting by tens. If you see on my XY axis, they're scaled by 2. So like if you go over 5 units to the right, it's actually out 10, okay? So 2, 4 means I would go right 2, up 4. That's like right there. That is in the shaded area. So this is one of our solutions. Then I have 10, -1. So I would go right 10, down 1. That's like right there. That is in the shaded area. And then I have -2, 0. So left 2, up 0. That would be right there. That is not in the shaded area. So you have two solutions of the answer choices I gave you that actually work for this graph, okay? Okay, so then let's actually graph one. So I wrote some notes here. I want you to graph this system of inequalities, which is just basic, like already in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. But we need to know how to graph using these signs. So I wrote out my signs. If you look through here, so you have less than, greater than, less than or equal to, and greater than or equal to, okay? So once we actually graph our line and get our points on our lines, then we'll come back to like those notes that I made there, okay? So the first equation, it says y is greater than 3x plus 14. So if you think about like y equals mx plus b, we always start with our b value, that's the y-intercept, and then from our b value, so this is like our starting point, from our b value, we use the slope to get the rest of our points, okay? So same thing, I'll do the first line in red. I'm going to start at 14 on my y-axis. I'm going to count by 2s. So let's say 2, 4, so I'll just count here, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So I'm going to start right there on my y-axis, 16, 18, 20. And I'm also going to count by 2s like in both of my directions, okay? Okay, and then I have a slope of 3, which means I go up 3, which would be here, and over 1. Up 3 and over 1, it's going to look a little different. Down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1, down 3, left 1. Okay, so my first line, you can kind of see, if I just continue to go down 3 and left 1, you can see this really steep line. Whoops, I'm sorry. So this really steep line with dots in red so far, okay? Okay, now my sign right here, my sign is a greater than sign. So I want to look at all of this information, okay? at least for this first one. So greater than, it says you're going to do a dashed line. So think about like if I split this in half and look at the first two signs, less than and greater than, they don't have a line under the sign. So there's not like, again, this line under the sign like there is right here or right here. So if they don't have a line under the sign, you're going to do a dashed line. What I mean by that is when you connect the dots here, you don't actually connect them with a solid line. We do like this dashed line, okay? And then we're going to shade. So I'm going to shade because it's greater than. I'm going to shade everything above that line, okay? So I'm going to shade everything above the line would be like all of these points up here would be a solution to my inequality, okay? So anything above that line is a solution. All right, then I'm ready to go on to my second line. So my second line, again, I start at my y-intercept, which is 2. So it crosses the y-axis at 2. And this one also has a slope of 3. So 3 over 1, I'm going to go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1. You could also go from this original point, you could go down 3 and left 1 a couple times. And what you find is that the slope is the same. So we have like a set of parallel lines. Now for this one, I have less than. So if you look over here, less than is this sign. So with less than, sorry, hold on one second. With less than, I'm also going to do a dashed line. So I'm going to connect my dots here. It's going to be a dashed line. And then I'm going to shade below, it says. So think of less than would be everything below my line, underneath the line. Okay, so with this set of parallel lines, what we find is that there is no overlapping area. So they're shaded in opposite directions and they're parallel lines. So we're going to say that this is actually going to have no solution. Typically, your graph is just your answer, but when it's parallel lines, sometimes you have like a no solution like this one.